First, let's get real. India and Turkey don't share a border. Not even close. In fact, they're separated by nearly 5,000 kilometers of land, including countries like Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, and Syria in between. That means a classic ground invasion? Almost impossible. To fight directly, both nations would rely on their air forces, navies, and long-range weapons. So before even a single shot is fired, this war already looks complicated. Stats flash on screen side by side. Narrator. Now let's break down the military balance. India has the world's third largest army, over 1.4 million active personnel, more than 2 million reserves, and, let's not forget, nuclear weapons. Its air force fields hundreds of fighter jets, Sukhois, Mirage 2000s, Rafales, and even domestically built Tejas fighters. And when it comes to naval power, India has an aircraft carrier, nuclear submarines, and a presence across the Indian Ocean. Turkey, meanwhile, might look smaller in numbers, but don't underestimate it. Its army is modern, highly trained, and battle-experienced from operations in Syria and Iraq. It has nearly 900,000 active and reserve troops, a strong tank force, and one of the largest standing armies in NATO. Its air force flies F-16s, drones like Bayraktar TB2s that gained fame in wars in Libya, Syria, and Azerbaijan. And its navy? It controls the entry to the Black Sea and has modern frigates and submarines patrolling the Mediterranean. So, numbers favor India, but geography and alliances? That's where Turkey gains leverage.
The NATO factor narrator, lower dramatic tone. And here's the big twist. Turkey is part of NATO. That means, on paper, an attack on Turkey could trigger the support of 30 nations, including the United States. But reality is more complicated. Would NATO really go to war with India? A nation of 1.4 billion people, a huge economy and nuclear weapons? Highly unlikely. Instead, Western powers might push for diplomacy or give limited support like intelligence, weapons, or sanctions. So Turkey cannot automatically count on NATO to fight its battle. But the very fact that it's a NATO member gives it a psychological and political advantage. Economic power clash. Narrator, wars are not fought only with bullets. They're fought with money. India today is the world's fifth largest economy, a booming tech industry, massive foreign exchange reserves, and a growing manufacturing base. Turkey, on the other hand, has been facing an economic crisis in recent years. High inflation, currency problems, and debt. That means in a long war, India would have a stronger economic backbone to sustain itself. But don't forget, Turkey's location gives it power too. It controls trade routes between Asia and Europe. It has energy pipelines running through its territory. So if Turkey plays the economic geography card smartly, it could squeeze India indirectly. The battlefield scenarios. So how would this war actually play out? Option 1. Air War. India sends long-range bombers and fighters, refueling in friendly nations, to strike Turkish positions. Turkey responds with F-16s and drones, trying to disrupt Indian supply chains. The skies over the Middle East could light up with battles never seen before. Option 2. Naval War. India uses its aircraft carrier and submarines in the Arabian Sea. Turkey deploys its navy in the Mediterranean. But here's the catch. They're too far apart. A direct naval clash? Rare. Instead, both could attack shipping lanes, choke trade routes, and put pressure on each other's allies.
Option 3. Proxy wars. This is the most likely scenario. India and Turkey don't fight head-on. Instead, they support opposite sides in conflicts across the Middle East, South Asia, or even Africa. India might back Greece or Armenia. Turkey might back Pakistan. And suddenly, small wars become big, and the chessboard of global politics starts shifting. The Pakistan factor, narrator. And now comes the elephant in the room, Pakistan. India's rival and Turkey's close ally. If India and Turkey clash, Pakistan would almost certainly get involved. That means India could be fighting on two fronts, West against Pakistan and indirectly against Turkey. This is where things could get very dangerous, because Pakistan is also a nuclear state. Suddenly, what began as a war between two distant nations could spiral into a full-blown regional crisis. Global reactions. Narrator. Meanwhile, the world would not sit quietly. The United States and Europe would pressure both sides to back down. Russia, with its ties to both India and Turkey, could play mediator or use the chaos for its own advantage. China might secretly support Turkey just to weaken India, its Asian rival. Middle Eastern countries would be split, some siding with Turkey because of religion and politics, others with India because of trade and investment. The result? A conflict that doesn't stay between two nations, but pulls in half the planet. Nuclear shadow music drops, tone serious narrator. And then comes the unthinkable. India is a nuclear power. Turkey is not. If the war escalates beyond limits, India has the ultimate trump card. But using nuclear weapons is not just about winning a war. It's about ending the world as we know it. The global backlash, the humanitarian disaster, the fallout. All of it makes nuclear war the very last option. Still, the shadow of nukes would hang over every decision, every battle, every threat. Likely outcome narrator. So who wins? In a short, sharp war, Turkey could land some punches. Its drones, NATO training, and regional influence could hurt Indian interests. But in a long war, India's size, economy, and nuclear deterrent make it extremely hard to defeat. Most experts agree. A direct India-Turkey war is highly unlikely. The distance, the risks, and the global pressure make it almost impossible. The more realistic outcome, not a direct clash, but a cold, war-style rivalry. More proxy battles, more diplomatic tension, more trade wars. Because sometimes the wars that never happen are the ones that change the world the most. Outro narrator. Fast, strong. So, what do you think? If India and Turkey went to war, who would come out on top? Would it be a battle of armies or a battle of allies? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's biggest what-ifs. Because in geopolitics, the question is never just who fights, it's who survives.